Ah yes, the guppy. One could even say the perfect freshwater fish. They are small, beautiful, and not to mention super easy to take care of. Literally anyone who is sane can take care of this kind of fish. If you are here to learn how you can set up your own simple little guppy tank, then you've come to the right place. First things first, you're gonna need a tank.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
But, luckily for you, guppies are a pretty small fish and you can keep them in a smaller tank. But I wouldn't go with anything smaller than a 5-gallon, like the one I have right here. Once you're done finding your tank, the next step is the decorations! I am going for a natural look, so you won't find your weird SpongeBob decorations here. So starting off, we'll be adding this lovely soaking piece of wood. And the reason why it's soaking wet is because I let it sit in water for a while. This would allow the wood to be heavier and therefore not float once I start adding actual, water to the tank. After I'm done with that, next I added these, I think they're called lava stones. These will act as a barrier between the soil and sand sections that I am planning to have. And these lava stones were originally actually too big, so I had to break them down into smaller pieces. And man, was it fun. Now I'm adding the good old sand. You may be asking, why am I adding sand? Well, it's because it's visually appealing. There's no benefits to the fish or plants, but I think the sand looks neat. For the soil, I used a fluval stratum. It's a pretty good and effective plant soil. I just happen to have some already, so might as well use it. Now I'm just adding some water, but just a little bit, just enough to get all of the soil wet. I'm doing this because that'll make planting the plants much easier. And trust me, you do not want to be planting the aquatic plants when the aquarium is full. Trust me. Now it's finally time for the plants. And the first plant added is a mini Amazon sword, or 2 mini Amazon swords. Don't get them confused with the regular Amazon swords. The regular Amazon swords get really, really big, but these ones stay tiny. This next plant is a cryptocorin. This is how they look like. The ones I have are just stumps, that's because they've lost their leaves, but the leaves will eventually grow back and look like this. I'm not exactly sure what kind of species of cryptocorin it is, but if I remember correctly, they should stay small, so can't wait until the leaves grow back. This next plant is a fern. I forgot which kind. And I'm gonna basically glue the fern onto the piece of wood using this aquatic super glue meant for freshwater and saltwater aquariums. These ferns are pretty cool because they don't actually have to be in soil. You can just mount them onto pieces of wood and they would grow from there. With this Anubis, I basically used the same process I used with the fern because this plant also can grow on pieces of wood instead of the soil. Now this last plant is I do not remember, some kind of stem plant. If you're concerned if the plant you're getting are suitable for nano aquariums, just ask your local fish store or the fish store where you're getting the plants from. They'll be more than happy to tell you which plants are suitable for nano aquariums. Once you're finally done with the plants, you can now start filling up your tank. But make sure you're being very gentle with the water. And you want to fill it up very slowly. Because if you go all ape-like with the water, then man, your plants are gonna start to, I don't know, lose its grip on the soil and start floating. And your soil is gonna start mixing with the sand and it's gonna be a complete mess. So, be very gentle. As you know, every aquarium needs a filter. For guppies, you can honestly go with something as simple as a sponge filter, but personally, I do not like how they look, plus they take up a lot of space in the tank. So I went with this small hang-on back filter that I got from Amazon. The nice thing about this hang-on back is that it's very small and not that strong. Which is good for guppies, because guppies are not very strong, they're not the best swimmers. So you don't want any filters that create too much flow. For lighting, I wanted to go with something kind of strong. Something to really help out with plant growth. So I decided to go with this Aqueon planted aquarium light. It is small, perfect for 5-gallon aquariums. And it's also cheaper than most other options. You could of course go with some cheap light from Amazon, but just make sure it won't burn your house down. If you have ever kept a fish tank before, then you'll know that you gotta cycle the tank first before you can put anything in it. Well, except for plants. So here I got my handy bottle of beneficial bacteria, and now you just want to follow the instructions on the bottle and add the recommended amount of bacteria. Now you just have to wait until your tank is fully cycled. I know waiting may not be the most fun experience, but it is very important. You don't want your little fishies to die, so you gotta wait until the tank cycled. Yeah. Just gotta wait. Once your tank is finally cycled, it is time for the moment you've all been waiting for. The Guppies! And if you are a very perceptive individual, you probably would have noticed that all the Guppies I've got are males. Interesting, isn't it? Well, it's actually quite simple. If you know anything about Guppies, then you'll know that they breed very easily. A little too easily. Of course, seeing Guppies breed is very, very fun. I mean, as long as you have a male and a female in the tank, they will breed. But you see, the problem is that your population of Guppies will increase extremely quickly. And for a small 5-gallon tank, there's just not enough space to have a lot of Guppies. So that's why I only got 5 males. I get the pretty colored Guppies, but I also don't have to deal with all the babies. As long as you have a plan to deal with the babies, then sure, get some females. But I don't have a plan, and I don't really want to deal with the problems, so I only got 5 males. Of course, before adding them to the tank, you want to float them in order to acclimate them. I would leave them there for about 30 minutes. Aren't they just the prettiest little things? And I got a good variety of them too. Now let's add them to the tank. Unfortunately, this one has lost quite a bit of its tail, but it should grow back no problem. Man, you just can't go wrong with guppies. They're just such an amazing fish. For feeding, I primarily feed them these fluval bug bites, the flaked version. And doesn't that just look delicious? Well, I hope this video inspires you to get your own guppy tank. But if not, then that's just too bad, isn't it? Well, goodbye.